Welcome to Witches of Workshop, a writing community podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm Caroline, and this is where we brew better stories together. So if you want to be critiqued on the podcast, just send 1 to 10 pages and a synopsis to witchesofworkshop@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get started. Yeah.
I'm waiting to do my hair till tomorrow. I was like, there's no point in washing it today because
I have to curl mine to Jessie Spano curls tonight with a tiny curling iron, and then I have to wash it and then fix it again for tomorrow.
Oh, what's tonight?
I have to be Jessie Spano for the 90s auction for Rocco's school.
Oh, fun. Me looking up who this is.
Wait, you don't know what Saved by the Bell is?
I know what it is, but I didn't watch it. That was,
God.
Well, she's got fabulous hair. I love it. Oh, that's going to be so cute. Do you have like a floral button up to wear? Like
I'm
she is in all
wearing,
these
okay, so
pictures?
there's like a very famous episode where Jessie Spano gets hooked on caffeine pills. And you've seen the meme, I'm certain of it,
I'm
but
sure.
Zach comes to help her because he sees a friend in need, and she sings, they're supposed to sing, I'm so excited for this thing at the max. And she's like, I'm so excited. I'm so scared. And she literally like breaks down. So I have a little pill bottle that's labeled Speed, and it's full of Tic Tacs. It's got Tic Tacs in it.
You have much more exciting evening plans than me. Mine is to play mahjong with my neighbors, and we'll see if I teach them.
Why are you going to tear yourself down? Why are you going to bring yourself down?
You're right. There's just this whole, we'll have a brief tangent, and then we'll actually talk about writing things. I don't know if you're on this side of TikTok, but there's a side of TikTok that basically thinks that people nowadays around my age, like in their 20s, are, like, they've had it up to here with them and their so-called grandma hobbies. Like, they've had it up to here with people who are spending their nights reading at book club, playing mahjong, whatever. And I'm like, I get that if that's not what you actually enjoy. Because their thing is like, no one's going out anymore. No one's going to clubs. And I'm like, I never liked going to clubs. So
okay, I have another podcast, Armchair Expert, had on a doctor, and I found this conversation fascinating because they started to talk about how the newest generation, so think like teens right now, are not getting into trouble the way that, right? So like they're not, teen pregnancy is way down.
They're
like,
not
driving
drinking
incidents.
as much.
They're not. And the guy, and then, Dak Shepard is very like, well, this is great. Like they're so much more evolved than us. And the doctor was like, well, here's the problem. It's because they're not leaving their house. He was like, we've created this interesting fear-based thing where like people aren't like living in the real world. So I think that gets a little iffy, and I see that in like my little kids where I'm like, ooh, that
you don't want to
be...
encourage like social isolation.
But I mean, I was you. My mom would kick me out of the house to go to a party. Go to the party. No, I don't want to.
And then you go to the party and you're like, anytime that I've gone out super duper late or gone to a club or whatever, I've never been like, I am so glad that I did that. I needed that. So I am having a mahjong night in a disparaging way. I am hyped for my mahjong night, but other people out here might have a problem with it. So we both have our own respective night plans. Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about the reads that made us cry today, and not in a like you moved yourself to tears kind of way, in a you want to shoot yourself in the foot kind of way.
Yeah, like how dumb are you to have brought this read to bring in front of people?
Are you?
Like, how stupid must you be?
Can't wait.
We're going to talk about like what made these chapters so hard to write, if we fixed it, and then kind of like what we've learned from that degrading, horrible experience.
Learning is fun, especially at your own expense. It's going to be great.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but what's brewing in your life cauldron, they might already be able to see it, but tell them about it.
She's a blonde.
She's a blonde baddie.
Look how blonde it is. Yeah. It
It's
was
so
time.
good.
It was time to return.
The way it melts from your roots is very
Right?
well done.
I had a picture of Charlize Theron, who obviously
Mm.
same. And he nailed it. He really nailed it. Like
Twins.
twinsies. So
He
yeah,
did though.
I can't explain it. I just like I feel good as a blonde. Like I don't know if I've been in Texas too long or what, but I just love it.
Do it. Maybe one day I
Mhm.
will join you. I've never been blonde, but it's on the bucket list of
But see,
things to
the
try.
red, if I could do it, I just don't think there's a shade that's right.
I don't know. It could be in your future. You never know.
It's just
Okay,
hair.
I also see that you have big ambitions and tell
Bo has
us.
decided that he wants to renovate our guest bathroom by ourselves.
And when we say renovate, how big are we talking? Like, are you
We're talking
ripping
like,
tile out?
oh yeah, like we're talking like tearing out vanity, toilet, everything, walls, like basically redoing all of it. So we would probably still have to hire a
It's
plumber because one of
incredible.
the things about having 100,000-year-old house is our shower head is literally for like a 2 foot tall person. Like if you're
Hmm.
taller than 5 feet, you have to duck underneath it to shower. So like we'll
Yeah.
have to probably hire a plumber, but this is what he says we're gonna do. So stay
And so
tuned.
that means you've been voluntold to help.
I will be the creative director of this ambition.
You
I
know,
will be the
I really admire couples that can work together like that. My husband and I tend to not even put furniture together because we've decided we don't want to get divorced. So I'm just like love couples that can do projects like that together.
I make no promises that it will go
Okay.
well, but
Do keep us posted.
I shall. I shall. Okay, what's
I'm
going
loving
on?
the
Fun life
ambition.
updates? What you got? What you
Fun
got for us?
life updates.
What you got?
Um, okay. As of today, after almost 7 years of being married, I finally bought a bunch of bookshelves because I have had the same, I'm not even kidding you. When we first got married, I bought this 3 shelf bookshelf from IKEA, and that's the only place I have had to put my books. And then, of course, you can't help but accumulate them. So now, like, they're in drawers of my buffet. They're up on this weird little cove shelf in our bedroom, but most of them are still at my parents' house. So thankful, grateful, blessed to get a bunch of bookshelves. I might have to insert a picture whenever they're all like assembled and all the books are in there. I mean, I've got like glass doors on them kind of bookshelves. Like,
Oh.
we're doing it right, because we've waited so long. So,
I also love the build up. I'm like, after 7 years, where are we going with the bookshelves?
after
No.
7 years bookshelf,
Are you guys gonna
it's
put them
just
together? Together?
no, we're gonna task rabbit that because yeah, we like each other and but not when we're assembling furniture.
You know
It's just
yourselves.
it's not our gifts. It's not our gifts. Writing wise though, I can go first real
Yeah,
quick.
tell us. Tell us.
I had a project I was working on as like this would kind of be my third manuscript. Got like
Mm-hmm.
5,000 words into it and thought she's not ready. So actually this weekend I'm gonna do the love hate list as popularized
Mm.
by Katie Burnett via Jenny Martin, I believe. Because as I was thinking, like, okay, why is this idea I'm having not coming as easily to me as I would like? It's not because I didn't like the idea, but honestly, when I thought about how I started my previous book, mentally up here, it was fan fiction, truly. I was like, Judy B. Jones, what would she be like as a grown-up girl? And
Mm-hmm.
I have come to realize how many book ideas start almost from fan fiction, like you read a book, watch a movie, watch a show, and you really glom onto a character or an idea, and then
Mm-hmm.
you want to do your own version. So
Yeah.
I'll just say I have some thoughts percolating up here, but I'm going to use her love hate list, I think, to nail it down, get it down, and then sent out a few more queries.
Yeah.
Got a rejection this morning. I think I'm up to like 8 rejections for having sent out about 32, so there's lots more to come. We're doing it. We're in the trenches.
That's a good percentage though that you also have a full. That's good.
one full out of 30. Yeah, 30 at the time.
But
So
you're not done. You're
we'll
not
take
done
it.
yet. I believe
We're
that.
not done. I didn't realize how much time is spent just looking for agents who are open and want what you have.
And it's so funny because you spend so much time, you remember, like, you hear their names and you're like, oh yeah, from such and such. And because I,
My old friend.
it's like, I shouldn't know this person. Like people who know things about sports, and you're like, oh, that person plays for this team. I feel like I would have,
Literally.
before the querying process, been like, we have friends who are like that. It would be like, oh, they're with this agency. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. But now it's like, oh, you kind of can't help but store some of
Yeah.
it because you're literally like, okay, let's go to read every single bio on this literary agency. Let's go read this bio. And you're,
Yes.
yeah.
And then you store it away. No, exactly. Because we have another friend who's querying, and I'm already telling her, like, well, this person's closed. This one just opened, but they want this and that. Like, I'm a little encyclopedia now. And she's like, oh, okay. So that's what's taking up my brain space. That's become
You're
my special interest.
waterboarding her.
I'm like, do you want to hear about all the open agencies and when they found it and what their policy is on whether you can query more than one agent? Be happy to
Hey,
tell you. So
but this is why we
that's
also
what I
have friends
do.
who do it because that's helpful.
Yes, I know. I know. I'm so glad I both know people who've done it like you, and I have other people like me who are in the process. So we're not alone. We're just like holding hands while going up on the roller coaster, waiting to drop. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be
I
great.
love it.
I love
And tell us about your project.
it. Okay, look. So I've been
Okay.
I've been chugging along with the edits. Honest to God, the second manuscript is I have maybe 7 more chapters to do line edits on, and then I have maybe 9 big picture things. Some very big, like 2 that are big, pretty big, and the rest are just lines that I couldn't fix in the moment of line editing. I was like, I need to come back to that. So I'm very close. I'm
Yeah?
very hopeful, but the new thing is just like I rammed right into a wall. I don't know though. I can't
What's
move
the
past.
wall? Give
I
us a
don't
little bit.
know.
You don't know
I
what it
got the
is.
I listen, I rom-com, I got them together and I feel so good about it. I even feel good about breaking them up. But but
Those are two of
all
the
of
big ones.
but all of the like time thereafter, like keeping it like moving and not contrived is
Oh.
really killing me.
I actually feel that so hard. I think that was my least favorite part of writing my most recent manuscript was like once you hit that climax, I'm like, and what else is there to say? They
Ugh.
everything worked out. Close the book, right? And they're like,
The end.
and so then I went way too ham trying to tie up every loose end. And then when everyone read it, they were like, so you don't have a soggy middle, you have a soggy end. Because why did you give us all these closures and details? And I was like, because I don't know how to wrap it up. And then we figured it out. So all that to say, I feel you. It's difficult.
It is. So I'm kind of being gentle with myself and like at least I'm editing and doing things, but I feel
Yeah,
like I need a
you're
minute
doing
to
it.
figure it out.
And we're podcasting. We're
We
still doing
are.
things. You're designing like PTA shirts. You're got plenty of irons in the fire.
Shout out to the PTA moms.
Well, at least we've both been
Okay.
productive.
We've
Okay,
been moving.
we're gonna get vulnerable.
Oh goodness. Oh
Oh
goodness
gosh.
me.
Who's gonna
Okay.
go first?
I mean, let's see. Okay, but I'll start by asking a question. Has there been a workshop read that made you cry? Like at workshop you had to run away and go cry.
I've never had full on tears, but there's one night I can distinctly remember with the book before where I teared up. And then there's been a few nights where I've like texted Kale on the way home and been like, I'm not coming back tonight, sucked. Like it was awful. And yeah, I know you had at least one where you actually cried. I wasn't there, but I
Mhm.
heard about it.
Well,
Is it the
yes.
is it the one that produced the ill-fated line we now quote often about
Oh,
two people?
so I have 2 that legitimately brought me to like had to run into the bathroom and like cry my tears. To be
So
fair, I
tell
also think
us.
I was perioding on both of these. So
Well,
I
and
blame
that's
a little bit
extremely
of hormones.
valid.
So,
Why
okay, so
is it that the hormone drop specifically makes us doubt
everything,
ourselves in general? Like, it's not even just
everything.
like, oh, it's so sad. It's like, I get a degree of self-loathing that should be studied.
It's like, why do you even bother? Like, that's literally,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I would say that majority of the time we're pretty level headed. And it's like, okay, a bad read is a bad read. But I
And
will
then
say
that
this
one week.
the first time I ever cried at workshop, I was reading a manuscript called The Hollow. And I was in our old building, which had a little library in it, which was T90. And there were probably 26 people in that room. So
Whoa, that's a lot.
the whole table was lined, and then people were sitting on the walls, and it was just packed. And I had Alex, I had a few other really heavy hitters. I had Jenny Martin. I had a few really heavy hitters in the room, and I had been doing really well. So I think that I was like, I'm
You're like, I got
nailing this.
this.
And as I was reading, it was a scene where there were a lot of like new characters that weren't really important, but like characters that still had to be there. And even as I
Mm-hmm.
was reading, I was like, wow, I'm giving way too much information about these people. Like nobody
Mm-hmm.
needs to know a paragraph on each one of the, you know, constables in the police office. Like nobody needs to know this. So I knew that that was a little off. But at the end, it was just like crickets. And I was
Mm.
like, oh my God, this is so bad. So, of course, Alex and Jenny started off, and Jenny was so kind to me. And I've told her this since, and she, like, she, of course, she doesn't even remember it. And she's like, wait, what
Mm-hmm.
did I make? I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, 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 it was good. I needed to hear it. But what she said is that this is so close. And this is where
Mm.
the weeping came in. She said, it's just the voice is not there yet, but it's so close.
Okay, so did
And
this make you cry because your voice had been something that you were feeling good about, or why did it hit a nerve?
yes, it had been the one thing throughout workshop, even having not great reads, that people were like, you've got this down. You've got this down. Even in my very first manuscript that Leslie had read that nobody else will ever see, she was like, like you have voice. And so to hear that I wasn't doing the one thing that I thought I did well crushed me. It
Yeah.
destroyed me. Because I was like, well, what else do I have? Like that's all I've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was one that really that took the wind out of my sails.
And we'll talk in a minute about like how you would or could fix something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a second one that made you cry, right?
That one's more embarrassing than anything, but yes.
Okay, well, I think I have two that are coming to mind, so
Okay,
I'll say
tell
my
me. I want
first
to
one.
know.
My first one where I think I actually teared up. So I'll give you this context. It was my previous manuscript, which was a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
May she rest. A fantasy, and I was in a read room that night. It wasn't that huge, but I was in a read room with our good friend Becca, and Becca and I have been accountability buddies for the longest since
Mm-hmm.
the beginning. So she's kind of always been like my emotional security blanket, where it's like we're going after this together, like we got this. And I don't remember what chapter I brought, but I remember before I went there I was feeling good about it, but then as I was reading it, I don't know why I didn't see it on paper before, but I literally contemplated just stopping reading and being like, you know what, this isn't even worth like finishing and having y'all give me critique on. Like, it's so bad I can hear it. Like, there's honestly no point. So it's like the self-doubt was already literally coating me over, and I could just feel the energy shift to like zero while I was reading. And it was for me as well. And so I can't even tell you what made it so bad. It just like was so awful. And that was the critique I got. Like, it was some of the harshest critique I've ever gotten. And I knew that they were right because I could hear it as I was reading. And so it just made it be like, why am I even sitting here listening to this lambasting? Like, I already know. I wasted my time. I wasted everyone's time. And then right after I read, Becca read, and she read one of like the best things I had ever heard her read. And so the room, including me, were like, this is amazing. Like, it was one of those reads where people are like, we have no notes except like we just enjoyed it. And so I was like so excited for her with the juxtaposition of like, we've been doing this together and I flopped so hard and she did so good. I was like, oh no, I flopped. Like, she's figured it out. Like, I flopped. And then it was fine the next week. Like, I brought back something else and it was all good. So it was those two things of like, that energy you're talking about where there were crickets after. It's like, even if there's crickets while you're reading and you don't hear any, if you don't hear any laughs or any ums or anyone taking notes, you can just tell people are disengaged already. And
Let me ask us both a question because I know the answer to mine. Did you read that chapter out loud at home before you read it at workshop? Because I didn't. And
I don't think I did either.
if
Yeah.
I had, I wonder because even like I'm saying, as I was reading it, I thought, "Gugh, okay, like not the best." Like I didn't think I
Mm,
was gonna get roasted, but so read your
we
stuff
should
out
have read them
loud.
aloud. I know. I would 100% agree. And it was just, as it probably was for you too, it was an uncharacteristically off chapter and night. And like, maybe I blocked it out because it was so dramatic, but I just remember the pit in my stomach while I was reading the second read.
Oh God.
Because I've got one that's like more recent where I didn't necessarily cry, but it was like, I think I cried while writing it because I was so frustrated trying to get it right.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go first on this one? You go first.
Okay. So in my manuscript that I'm querying now, it follows two close friends who've been friends since childhood, and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the midpoint turning point. That's a really important part of the story is they have a big fight, and it's like the first time in their friendship where they've ever fought. And you know what I'm talking about. They're on a bachelorette trip
Mm-hmm.
and they're on a ski trip, and it was one of those chapters where I needed to have a verbal fight. I also needed to have like all this subtle tension that had not been being addressed in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I would say, even to this day, like, I've got it the best that I know how, but that little part of the story is still like, I don't know if it's as strong as the rest, because man, it is just hard to write a verbal fight and do it well, especially when like so much has been building up to it. So at first I brought this chapter and it was like, there's not enough. Like, you need to slow it down. So then I slow it down like as much as I know how. Then people are like, it still moves on way too fast. Like, it doesn't explain kind of like this other huge blow up they're gonna have later. Because it was kind of like a blow up, but also a precursor to a bigger, more irreconcilable blow up. Um, and so I just went back and forth, like adding and taking away, trying to find the perfect balance. And what's probably true is that there is no perfect balance because it's like,
Mm,
I think unfortunately, a lot of people can relate either to having a fight with a friend or just having a fight with someone you love, whether it's like your
Yes.
partner or a colleague or whoever. And everyone fights different and everyone has different like internals. Because that was also what was so hard to get across is like, how is the character's internal going to explain how they do or don't react? Because it's like some people are super confrontational and they're like, well, if you feel something, say something. And then other people, kind of like my character, are like, it's simmering and simmering until it finally boils over. So it was just so hard to get that right. So I brought different versions of it to workshop probably 3 times, which I don't feel that I've ever done that before. I normally just read it once, take the feedback,
Right.
but it had so much to work on each time that I was like, I just don't know if I'm getting it right. And then the
Uh,
last time I read it, it still got a lot of feedback. And I was like, but again, you can't keep bringing the same thing over and over and being like, I'm coming until you tell me it's perfect. I think it did get better each time, and I learned things each time. But yeah, it was just so it made me cry in terms of while I was writing it, I was like, why is this so difficult? So yeah, it was a
Mhm.
toughie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know the vibes.
But
And
you
I think
stuck
you
with it
had,
and you rewrote it.
I
And you
rewrote it. I
and
rewrote
do
it
you
a few
feel like
times.
you fixed it? Like do you feel like the if you go back to that very first critique, do you feel like the issues that you took away from the critique, not even necessarily like the things that you're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing these things. Do you feel confident that you at least addressed those?
Yes, I think so, because I remember originally their fight being contained to one chapter, or I was like, where they're gonna fight, and then the next chapter will be like cut to my main character going home away from this trip. And I didn't even, it's one of those things where it's like you can't imagine your story being different unless you're open to that feedback. Because
For
by getting
sure.
the feedback that it needed to like slow down, we needed to kind of sit in the fallout a little longer. I added like two more chapters after that
Mm,
before my character leaves.
right.
Um, and I've still gotten some varying feedback on like which fighting happens in which chapter, but nobody has been against me lengthening it, which I think is something we both tend to do, where we just like don't sit in it long enough and people are like, you gotta let us
Well,
linger. So I think I figured that part out.
we're pacing girls. We don't want to bore anybody. So
Hmm.
we're just like, just cut, you keep moving. Keep
Exactly.
going.
And I was like, they fought. Like, what more needs to be said? But I do think it feels better to have like, I did add a super more quietly tense chapter after, where it's like there's
Mhm.
kind of sitting in the like trying not to talk about what just happened, but like
Right.
they're gonna. So yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you helped me with that. Many people helped me with that. But also just like verbal fights are hard to nail down for me. Like it's so they're on one hand can be fun to write because it's so visceral and emotional. I know I just read a
Mhm.
verbal fight in your book where I was like, oh, I'm sad. Like it did its work, but it's just hard to get right because we would all act differently.
It's true. I was gonna say it's such like a personal thing on how you fight. But do you do read like I like have those like like I work it out like I'll fight out loud before I even type anything down. I'm like I like literally must look like a crazy person talking to myself. I'm like you like how would they work back and forth? And I
Mm-hmm.
try to like put
Mm-hmm.
myself in that space and be like, what would I say? Like how would this person say it? And so there's a lot of
Mm.
moving parts in a fight. And then also to make sure because one of the things that we do in fights when we're having real fights, not that I ever have fights with my husband, but when
No.
never
Never.
we tend to repeat the same things, right? Like that's like you end up
Mm.
like circling the same subject, and in a book that's not interesting. So like
Yep.
you can't just keep saying that this, which I've been guilty of saying the same thing in a slightly different way. It's like no, like each each dig needs to push something else through,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yes.
that's
It's
complicated.
like it's like realistic but not realistic. Exactly. Okay,
Exactly.
do you do
Mm-hmm.
this in your fights? Something I did in my fight scenes is I would have even sometimes like the villainous character um point out things in the fight that I feel like are true of myself, where it's like things that I've like worked in a row where she's like, and you do this, and I'm like, and yeah, and I do that. And I'm like, and you're right, and you're not wrong.
I
But
mean,
so
there's a
sometimes I'm
one.
like talking to myself in the fight where I'm like, it's really problematic the way that you do that. I'm like, I know.
I think that there's just a little bit of us in all the characters, no matter like how wildly different they are from us. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I think that we still color those decisions a little bit to be towards some. So yeah, I definitely
You,
think it
you
can get
know,
personal.
a little personal, which speaking of personal, your second
Mm-hmm.
read comes from your latest manuscript, right? Or is it the one
Yes.
before? Okay.
Nope. Well, it was no, it was two. It was two because it was in the
Okay.
pool. So I had this like
Yes,
scene where
yes.
like the characters are finally like they're gonna like give in and they're gonna have this like conversation and things are still a little tense and it's February in Texas, but it's like a 92-degree day. Everybody knows what that's like. And
Mm-hmm.
they decide to like go in a pool together. And it's like, and it's always the ones that you think you're like, oh, I got this. Like, this is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to nail this. And, it did not land. It did not land. And I'm still not entirely sure because I will say this. It was majority men telling me that it did not land. So that's always something we have to think about when I'm writing a book that is primarily for the ladies. It's for the romance readers. It's for those who just love the swoony,
Mm-hmm.
melodrama. Like, so, but good old Alex told me it was just two nice people having a conversation. And he's
That's
like,
the quote that we call
and he,
back to all the time.
all the time. And I'm just like, like, and I think too, he was hypercritical. And this is an interesting thing about workshop too. I think as you improve and like as people see you at your best, when you're not leveling up or reaching that potential that they see in you, they're so much harsher. And they like really, because they're expecting you to reach the potential of what they know is possible. And that's great. But on a real
When you're
woe is
on your
me kind of
period,
day, dude, it just literally like, I mean, and everybody saw me cry too. It was so embarrassing. And people would be like, are you okay? And I'm like,
did you
stop
cry
talking.
in the room or did you
Oh,
try and like
I
run to the bathroom?
literally, I think I was right before break. So like, I was just like, it's fine. It's fine. And then I walked out and I just like quick walked to the bathroom and just like sobbed. And then I thought I was fine. I came back out and Alex was like, hey. And I was like, no. I was like, stop. You can't say anything else to me. And he's like, oh God, I made her cry. And then everybody's like, are you okay? And I'm like, stop. It's like everybody stop looking at me. Blair, who we've had on, was like, send me the chapter. I would love to read what comes before this too. And of course, he gave wonderful critique that helped
The
me.
best.
I think
Okay, and let
what,
me ask you something.
yeah,
In the moment or afterward, when you had a moment to cool down, I do feel like I remember you texting or calling me about this after, and you had some much needed Burger King at the end of the night, as you must,
obviously,
after a difficult
obviously.
read. But did you feel that what they said had any truth to it? Like the critiques, even though there were a lot of men in there, like, is that part of what made it difficult to hear?
Yes, but I also think it was like when knowing what I've changed of it, I don't think I was addressing their concerns exactly, but they were right that something wasn't exactly right. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
Like
yeah,
there
I
was,
do.
because I also think too, sometimes when you read things out of the context of the story, like when it's just in a vacuum, sometimes it can feel different than knowing what's been, which is why Blair was like, can I read what came before so I can see like why
Yep.
some of these decisions are being made? Because maybe that will help. And so I think like sometimes like the holistic of like, no, like they deserved something that wasn't tension filled and like maybe sexually tension filled, but not angsty or not like the whole book they're trying to fight things. So it was like for me, I thought I was giving them a break, but what I did was kind of make it boring. So it's like, okay,
Mm,
how do I then continue keeping it moving and interesting? Because that's Alex's thing all the time. He's like, I don't want real, I want interesting. And so, like, okay, like, how do you do that? So I think that that is
mm.
what ended up happening. Was I was like, okay, like I've got to provide something here that gets somebody through instead of just a nice conversation between two people.
A favorite quote. So would you say, like, maybe a takeaway from that was sometimes you have to strip down exactly what people are saying and their advice of how to fix it and be like, what is the common denominator of what you're all getting at? Because it's like, yes, they could be wrong about, again, especially if they're hearing it in a vacuum, if they've not heard anything else of the story, they might tell you things that they think your characters should do that you're like, well, if you read anything else, you would know that's not consistent. But do you think just trying to look at a
Right.
high level and be like, what are you getting at? They were
Yeah.
getting it
I
boring.
think that I think that that is one of the harder things to do, especially like if everybody's giving you same but different. Do you know what I mean? Like where you're
Oh,
like,
that's the
it's
worst.
because you're just like, okay, like you're not exactly agreeing with that person, but you're saying this, but I can't do both of those changes. So that means I have to figure. And so sometimes it's like, I mean, sometimes, especially on a micro level with my smaller writing group, when I write with you guys, and there have been times where I've written stuff with you guys, and you've gone, I think that this happens a completely different way. And I say,
Hmm.
you're right. And then the next day I rewrite a scene entirely. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that happens very frequently on that level. But once I have something that I feel like is workshop ready, I I feel like, yeah, unless people are all really, really hitting on the same thing over and over again, I don't
It's
know.
tough. I
It
know
is tough.
it's tough to tell. Me reading my unhinged Mahjong murder short story, I was like, y'all are all kind of saying the same but different, so I'm gonna have to figure out what's the same part. You're
Like
all
what
getting
that
at.
means. Like what's like what does that mean? Like what is it?
What do you mean?
What?
This podcast is sponsored by Justin Bieber.
Oh,
What do you mean? Have you seen
mm.
the sound going around of that guy trying to sing Sorry by Justin Bieber at
Oh my
the
gosh. Yes, 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 yes.
Sorry. You gotta go and get a good
So
sorry.
funny story. I love Justin Bieber so much, but I didn't know, I couldn't have told you a song that Justin Bieber sang until Felix was born. So like I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything. I think it was Purpose was the album, right? With the tattoos in the back. My
Yeah,
cousin went to a concert. She got me, I have a sleeveless tee that I wear sometimes. It's so, but Felix calls it the girl. So, because he's like, who's the girl on the back of your shirt? And I'm like, that child is Justin Bieber. I love him so much. So, yeah.
same. I love
Mm,
him more the longer that time goes on. Okay.
okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I, no, you're I think I was the one who
Sorry.
got sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry. I promise this meme is relevant when we're recording it, even though by the time this episode comes out, people are gonna be
It
like,
won't
huh?
be.
That was so
Nobody cares.
yesterday. Okay, so we both had these chapters that it was hard
Mm-hmm.
for us to get right. How many revisions would you say you did at this chapter? And would you recommend that for yourself next time? Because I assume that we're always going to hit those hard chapters that we just don't get right the first time.
Mm. For the very first, I probably didn't change enough, which is why that book is never to be seen. So like I think that I did do a lot of reading out loud and a lot of like cutting and shortening and but I don't know if I went back and thought to myself like now I think I would have thought, you know what? This needs a restructure and I did not do that. For the
Hmm.
pool scene, I I think what I did is open another document and start writing, like keeping the things that I really loved, because there's a lot of the original still in what is today.
I agree. Like, I've read different versions and I'm like, the changes are subtle but important that you've
So,
made.
I think I also maybe got a little um greedy with that and was like, I'm gonna keep some of the things, even if like this is my artistic choice is that I'm keeping this, even though the boys
Yeah.
don't agree. So I think
Well,
there's a
it's
little bit
important
of
to
that too.
remember that you can do that. Like, I'm so curious to hear what your agent thought of that scene and like if she happened to love any of the parts that you loved and chose to keep, even if it was controversial. Because I've certainly had that happen where there's been some choices I've made where I'm like, I'm keeping it in whether you like it or not. And then someone else, they dig it. You don't know.
It's just because it's just so like yeah, it's and
Do you,
I'm trying to remember what she said.
I was
We
about
can
to say,
find
are
out.
you allowed to tell us if she had any specific comments? I remember you were drafting that scene at our writers' retreat in Seattle.
Uh-huh.
That
Mm-hmm.
was when it first, so you started writing that in February 2025, and then throughout 2025, it got touched multiple times.
It's literally, okay, let's see. This is Nadia's. Let's see.
No
I
specific
had
comments on the pool scene?
I had no notes.
No, see, no
No
notes.
notes.
And
So
the other thing we have to remember is like, if you keep bringing something to workshop or for critique in general, waiting for it to be perfect, that's never going to happen because there's always, there's just no such thing as perfect writing. So yeah, you have to figure out when to make the decision of like, to a degree, is it good enough? And sounds like you got there.
especially with a first draft of something too. Like we know people who literally are like just constantly perfecting something. And I think that also this is something that I heard once, and this is it's an agent asks you if something is done, if you are querying, you don't
Mm,
say, "Oh, it could always be better." You say, "Yes." You tell them that
because you
it's done.
know when to let it go.
You're like, "Yes, it's done." And I think that yeah, because if you I think that that can be daunting for an agent to have somebody who's like, well, they never think their work is perfect. And like they never, you know what I mean? Like they never think that they get it to
Mm-hmm.
the point where is ready to go out into the world.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. You got to get it somewhere between almost perfect and hot mess express. So
yeah.
I feel like we did that.
Yeah. And look,
Yeah,
a few tears were shed, but
it's okay. You
we came
cried
out stronger
because you
people.
care.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm sure we will
Ex-
have chapters with our current WIPs at some point that
I mean, I'm getting to the cry stage of this new thing because I'm so frustrated. Like, I think it's just, it happens. It's cathartic.
it happens, you know? It's okay. Well, and we survived. And I think it's just important to talk about this and remember that no matter how good of a writer you are, how experienced you are, I would say like all of our friends who've been published for many years, have written many books, like would all tell you they have that moment, that chapter that deflates their confidence because they can't get it right.
For sure.
I was telling you that this Wednesday I read a short story, which was mostly for fun because that's not really my thing. It was just like a writing exercise. And while I was reading it, first of all, I was cracking myself up. I was like, I'm so funny. I'm so funny. And I did get some laughs, but I was like cracking myself up so much that when I was getting critique, I was like, "No, I don't really care." But it was definitely not like this was amazing. I love this. Like there were people who read after me where I was like, well, that was way better. And the critique proved it. But I was like, and who cares? Like I brought this because I wanted to learn how to be a better writer. And I don't write a lot of short stories. So of course it's not going to be like raving no notes. But if you have an ego attached where you're like, I'm only as good of a writer as feedback I get, then best of luck. Sorry. I think it's time for a little rapid fire wrap up. Change of pace.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. You
Oh,
answer
okay.
first.
Okay.
Upcoming show or movie you're most excited to see? Go.
I am so excited to see The Bride, Maggie Gyllenhaal's new movie, which is The Bride of Frankenstein, like re-envisioned in like gangster New York, I guess. And it's the Florence and the Machine song in the trailer. Jesse Buckley, Christian
Oh,
Bale,
yes.
Jake Gyllenhaal is in it. Peter Skarsgård is in it. Um,
I have
Sarsgaard,
seen
not
the trailer.
Skarsgård.
It looks so interesting.
I'm going on Monday, and I
Oh, yeah.
am so excited. I like the makeup and the costumes and it just looks so
Mm.
weird. So I'm super pumped.
Editing Caroline interjecting here to say it was at this inopportune moment that I said the show I was most excited to watch was the upcoming season of The Bachelorette with Taylor Frankie Paul. As you might have gathered, this was recorded before all of the news about The Bachelorette and Taylor Frankie Paul. So I must go on record to say that is now not the thing I am most excited to see. And also, we can't watch it. So I don't know. Insert Malcolm in the Middle reboot as being the answer I'm most excited for here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with you because I still don't know the answer to this. What's your favorite book series of all times?
I can't believe you don't know the answer to this, but I'm gonna have to go. Anne of Green Gables by
Sick.
L.M. Montgomery classic. I've reread it multiple times. It's so funny, so charming, so delightful. One of the best book boyfriends of all time, Gilbert Blythe.
Gilbert.
Stage one yearner. We love to
Mm,
see it.
mm.
Yeah, that's something I don't often reread stuff, but I've reread several of those several times.
I mean, I
I mean, you could
guess
say Twilight.
I know, but the fact of the matter is I'm not sure that it is. But I guess gun to head, that's probably what I would have to pick. As
Well,
last night,
what else is floating in your head?
well, I'm like trying to think of like fantasy series that I've read, and I've been like, yeah, I enjoyed that. But like when I think about like revisiting it now, I'm like, not so much. So that's kind of where how I feel about a lot of the series. I still love Harry Potter, and I know you're not allowed to say that.
Oh, but I listened to the audiobooks for the first time a couple years ago, and they are so good. They're
It's
so well
so
written.
good. I wish she wasn't an awful person. It makes me so mad. But I
But
think
we
like
love the books.
I mean, last night, literally, Bo was at a fantasy football league party, and I tried to find something to watch for 30 minutes and ended up putting on Eclipse because I was like, well, I should just watch Twilight and fall asleep. And so, I mean, if we're being honest, that's probably up there pretty high. So,
I mean,
yeah,
I think those are both great
thank you.
series to pick
Okay,
from.
thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
okay, I know you have a quick answer for this one. So, last but most certainly not least, a TV show that's influenced the way you write.
Okay, okay. So I think that mine is probably like a lot of the CW shows from back in the day, like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, Felicity, because they were all so like, I mean, first up, they were so dramatic, like so melodramatic. And like
Mm,
I just grew up on the just pining, yearning, just everything was a big deal. So many teenage emotions. But they did slow burn love so good because they you had
yes.
22 episodes and even still sometimes they wouldn't get together and you were just like, oh my god, I just want you to kiss, like just kiss already. So I love the slow burn
Yes.
love. I love obviously the teenage like melodrama, but then also I think the cliffhanger episodes, like we like were raised on these like just up like shocking endings that seem like you were like, oh, I can't possibly wait until next week to
Next
watch
week.
this. A
Mm-hmm.
season finale, you'd be like, well, great. I have to wait
Yeah.
6 months before I can find out this. So I think that even like with the end of a chapter now, I feel like every end of a chapter has to have something that like leads you, So yeah.
Yes. And
Okay.
I could
What about?
tell. Oh,
Oh,
so angsty and delicious. Mine is much more silly, and I didn't realize this until the other day, but Arrested Development is a favorite rewatch for me.
hilarious,
It's so
hilarious.
hilarious. But I was realizing that one of my favorite things about it that I think makes it funny is something that I do in my writing because I think also makes it funny. And that's just peppering in like a very specific random aside that doesn't have to do necessarily with the story, but it just adds context for the character. Like, I laughed out loud when I was watching an episode the other day where George Michael is talking to this woman and she just interrupts him and goes, flashes of Quincy. And it cuts aside and shows like she's referring to her alleged affair with Quincy Jones and just goes back to her. And it's like, that's so not needed, but so funny. Like, and it just tells you so much. And I was also like, flashes of Quincy is a great line. So,
It's
I
just
love
it's
when I
like
can doing
it's
asides.
voicey. It's like
Yes, it's
it's the
voicey.
equivalent of voicey.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
it's like a little wink, and I just think it's funny that it's a narrator doing it because in Gilmore Girls they're always having like asides where they reference
sure.
pop culture or something, but that's between them. So I think Arrested Development does it more like how you could do in a book where the narrator just takes you out and tells you something and then goes
I love
back
it.
in.
I love
I
it.
love it.
So
All great
funny.
shows. Well, this has been
Which
so educational.
no tears needed.
Note to this video. Have we had a sponsor for today's thing yet?
Justin
Is it
Bieber?
Yeah, sponsored by Sorry. And two nice people talking.
Two nice people having a conversation.
Thank you so much for listening to Witches of Workshop. Be sure to find us every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, if you want to be featured on Witches of Workshop, please send 1 to 10 pages and a synopsis to witchesofworkshop@gmail.com.
Until then,
Happy writing.